Now we're recording. All right. So, in Chapter 5, Lesson 3, as I said prior to lunch, we are talking about triangles. Right up here, this was what we had on the board last week, if you remember. Classifying triangles by their angles, if they're all three acute, if we have one right angle, or if we have one obtuse angle. And then by sides, scalene would be no equal sides, isosceles at least 2, and equilateral at least 3. Incidentally, if all three sides are equal, so are all three angles. And they do have a word for that. You can call it an equal angular. But if all three sides are equal and all angles are equal, then the angles have to be 60, and we'll talk about that a little bit in just a second. So I just put that on there for you guys to reference to, because I know I put it up on the board and somebody's like, don't erase that. And I'm like, well, I had to erase it. So they are on your notes now officially. And there will be some questions in regards to classifying triangles. So the first and important thing, and as I discovered before lunch, and I was pretty sure that most of you knew this already, that all three angles have a sum of 180 degrees. It does not matter what kind of triangle it is. If it's an acute triangle, an isosceles triangle, if it is a right triangle, if it's an obtuse triangle, when we add all three angles, it will always equal 180 degrees. Okay? A triangle, we got 3 line segments. They intersect only at their endpoints. We call it a vertex. And the angles inside the triangle are interior angles. And you're probably going, well, why are we saying that? Because we're going to talk about exterior angles in a minute. Okay, so type of questions they will give you with this. We have triangle XYZ. If the measure of angle X is 72, measure of angle Y is 74, what's the measure of angle Z? I don't care how you do this. If you want to write it out, 72 plus 74 plus the measure of angle Z equals 180 degrees. You can. You don't have to. There's 2 things. You could add these 2 together first, which I usually do. So that would be 146 plus the measure of angle Z equals 180. The reason I do that is because some people will take 180 and they'll subtract 74 and they'll subtract 72. And you can do that. But I tend to just add them up in my head. For me, in my head, it goes faster. If I add them, go 146, and then it's 34. So the measure of angle Z is 34 degrees. So they'll give you a triangle. They'll give you 2 of the angles. You have to find the third. Any questions on that? No, that's not all we're doing, but it's a lot of it, okay? So any questions on that? You guys good? So how do they make it harder? Well, it does get a little bit harder, and here's how. So they can give you a question like this and then not actually give you any measures. Okay? So take a look at this example right here. It says the measures of the angles of a triangle ABC are in a ratio of 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, and 5. What are the measures of the angles? Okay, so when they say they're in a ratio, what they mean is there's some unknown number, and that unknown number, when I multiply it times 1 is one angle. When I take that same number and multiply it by 4, that's another angle, and that same number multiplied by 5 is the third angle. So when they talk about ratios, this is exactly how you set it up. Take a look at it. They set up an equation, and they just have x, but remember that is a 1x. So they take a variable, they use x, whatever variable you choose to use, they make it 1x, 4x, and 5x. That's the ratio, 1, 4, and 5. Right, Ivani? All right, and they make it 1x, 4x, 5x, combine, and make that equal 180. Combine like terms, so just add up your x's, so 10x equals 180, which means x is 18. So that's x, that's your one angle. Then you take it times 4 to get your second angle and times 5 to get your third angle. All right, so let's try one like that over on slide number 4. And here's my little, hey, algebra never goes away, because look what we're doing, algebra, even in the middle of geometry stuff, okay? So here's what we do. The measures of the angles in triangle LMN are in the ratio of 2, 4, 6. What are the measures of the angles? So we take these ratios, these numbers, 2, 4, and 6, and I pick a variable. Is it okay if I use x? Okay, so I make it 2x plus 4x plus 6x, and those three angles have to add up to 180 because it's a triangle. I combine like terms, we combine like terms. So 2x, 4x, 6x is 12x when we add them all together. Now we have a one-step equation. Divide by the coefficient, so we're dividing both sides by 12. And 180 divided by 12. Anybody got that? Yeah, you're right. It is 15. So now none of my angles are 15, right? Because it's 2x, 4x, 6x. So I'm going to take this 15, multiply it by 2. So one angle is 30 degrees. Take 15 times 4, 60. And you could take 15 times 6, or just know that what's left over? 90 degrees. So there are three angles, 30, 60, and 90. Any questions on that? All right. On the back side then, here is why we talked about the word interior angles. My guess is when you've talked about triangles, you've only referenced the three angles inside of the triangle, and they add up to 180. We are going to learn about exterior angles. So one of the angles outside of the triangle, and you're probably thinking, what? So here's how an exterior angle is defined. It in a triangle. An exterior angle, if you extend one of the legs passed through the vertex, the angle that it makes, with the angle that line makes with the adjacent side, so the side right next to it, is going to be an exterior angle. All right? What's cool about this is that exterior angle has to be equal to this one and this one added together. And it will always be equal to the other two. And the other two are referred to as the remote interior angles. So we've got some terms here that you probably want to transfer into your vocab sheet. But an exterior angle in a triangle will always equal the sum of its two remote interior angles. Here's why. Can I call this angle W for now, right here? What do we know about angle 1 and angle W? Together they add up to 180 degrees, right? Well, guess what? Together, doesn't W, X, and Y add up to 180 degrees? So just like if I would take 180 minus W to get 1, 180 minus W would give me these two added together. So it's kind of cool. And the remote interior angles are always the two that are not touching it, right? This one doesn't count. I'm talking about the other two. And they are not adjacent to the exterior angle. On the bottom of that slide, you see a triangle drawn with all three of the exterior angles. And then they label the interior angles 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, and 6 for the exterior angles. And it says angle 4 is an exterior angle of the triangle, and its two remote interior angles have to be 2 and 3, because those are the two not adjacent to it, not right next to it. 2 and 3 would add up to the measure of angle 4. So they're going to give us questions where they give us either two exterior angles and ask us to find the interior angle, or vice versa. So they're really just adding arsenal to their question database, right? They can ask us more questions. So over here on slide number 6, on the top, they say Suppose angle 4 is 135. They give us that, 135. Find angle 2. You're probably thinking, well, they only gave us one angle. Well, they did, except look at our picture. What do we know about this angle right here? It's 90 degrees. And this one plus this one has to equal 135. So 135 minus 90 is 45 degrees. Now, I could have done that in a different manner. Let me show you. I could have said, oh, okay, well, 135, and that means angle 1 right here would have to be 45 degrees, right? Because they make 180 degrees. And so then if I know that's 45 degrees and I know that's 90 degrees, couldn't I find the third one? I absolutely could. All right. So let's do another one of these. And this one all by ourselves. They didn't help us with this one on the bottom of slide number 6. So we have a right triangle. Actually, I think it might be the exact same picture. It says, suppose angle 5 is 147. Angle 5 is 147. Find angle 1. God bless you. Well, I'm going to do it this way. I know that this is 90 degrees. I also know that measure of angle 1 plus that 90 degrees will always equal 147. If I subtract 90, that gives me the measure of angle 1 is 57 degrees. I did that problem using the fact that the two remote interior angles will equal its exterior angle. Now, could I have done it the other way where I found 2 and then used 2 and the right angle to find 1? Yes, I could have. Am I not right, Andrew? You looked super confused.
No, I did it wrong, but I didn't know how to do it.
Okay. Any questions on that one? All right, so let's do 4 review questions, and I will give you your worksheet because that is the whole lesson right there. Okay, so find the value of x in that triangle. We're on slide number 7. So it's 45 degrees, right? Okay, I just went 75 plus 60 is 135, and then 180 minus 135 is 45. That's how I figured it out. All right, how about down here on number 2? We're talking about a sailboat, which really doesn't matter because it's a right triangle. Or excuse me, it's not even a right triangle. It's just a triangle. Ha! I didn't intentionally give you, I didn't know, wasn't paying attention. It is 90, isn't it? Yeah. 70 plus 20 is 90, which means 180 minus 90 means that is a 90-degree angle. All right. Questions on 1 and 2? Okay. Number 3, remember, here's that ratio question. So how do we do this one? Not times. Plus 2x plus 5x has to equal 180. So 8x equals 180. Oh, does it go in there nicely? 22.5? Okay. 22.5. That's okay. I mean, it's not ideal, but that is, so that's one of them, right? Because 1x is an angle. So x equals 22.5 degrees. 2x equals 45 degrees, and 5x, no, 5x is going to be, okay, there you go. That sounds more like it. 112.5. Okay, there's your 3 angles. And here is our exterior angle question. So remember, the two remote interior angles right here will always have a sum of their exterior angle. In other words, x plus 92 will always equal 123. So it's pretty simple. Just subtract 92, 31 degrees. I don't expect that this assignment will take you very long, but I do expect some quiet work time. All right.